The Searchers is a 1956 Western starring John Wayne, Jeffrey Hunter, Natalie Wood, Vera Miles, and Ward Bond. And it's directed by John Ford. This was like the dozenth time that John Wayne and John Ford had collaborated, and it is their best, I'd say. It's also generally regarded as being the best Western film ever made, aside from Clint Eastwood's spaghetti westerns. Yeah, this is probably the best American Western that there is. It does feature what I would call John Wayne's best performance. I know that he won the Oscar for True Grit in 1969, but he's simply better in this. When people look at John Wayne, this is usually the image that comes to mind. This and True Grit. In True Grit, he has the eye patch, and yeah, if you don't think of John Wayne in like as Ethan Edwards in The Searchers, you think of him with the eye patch in True Grit. He was really good in True Grit, but yeah, he didn't really deserve to win the Oscar that year. It should have been either Dustin Hoffman or Jon Voight for Midnight Cowboy. So yeah, the people often regard John Wayne's win in True Grit to be more of a makeup win because he didn't win for The Searchers. But you know what's done is done. People know that his performance as Ethan Edwards in The Searchers is his best performance. He is brilliant here. So when people, well, not when people, but when you first take a look at The Searchers, it may appear at first to be just a straight up Cowboys and Indians film. Because, at first glance, the whites are generally regarded as being the good guys, and the natives are regarded as being the bad guys. And, back then, there was a bunch of that's just not what was back then. Like always placing the white people as the saviors and the good guys. But the way that John Wayne makes this movie was ahead of its time. It when you look deeper into the surface, you see that it's way more than just a straight up Cowboys and Indians film. It's not just all black and all white. It mostly just takes a look at the gray area in between everything. And when you look at it, you realize that the supposedly heroic character of Ethan Edwards that John Wayne plays really isn't that nice of a guy. He really isn't likable. He's not really all that heroic. But of course, when this movie first came out, he was very he was regarded as being heroic. But times change, and you'll realize just how sophisticated John Ford made this film. So John Wayne plays Ethan Edwards, who is a Civil War soldier, and he's also quite a loner, quite a bit of a loner. Yeah, he's also a heavy racist. He hates Native Americans, and when he comes home to visit his brother's family, his brother's family adopted Martin, who is played by Jeffrey Hunter. Now, Martin is 1/8 Cherokee, and because of that little fraction of native blood in him, Ethan hates him. even though he's just an eighth Cherokee, yeah, Ethan hates anything that with even a little bit of native blood. So so there's some friction obviously with the whites and the Indians. Well, with the whites and the cowboys and Indians. There's some obvious friction between them, and so Ethan and his brother and a few others, they go out and they're searching for some stolen cattle. And while they're out, some Comanches come and kill Ethan's family and kidnap the two daughters, Debbie and Lucy. So yeah, the Ethan and some of the others, including Martin and Lucy's boyfriend, try to search for them. But after a while, they end up finding Lucy's corpse, and that's really the scene where you realize how good an actor John Wayne is when he finds Lucy's corpse and says, insinuates what happened to her. After a while, it winds being just Ethan and just Martin together a on a mission to search for Lucy. No, it's to search for Debbie. Sorry, and it winds up being a 5-year mission. And in that 5 years, Ethan just barely gains respect and admiration for Martin, even though, as I said, even though he has just a little bit of native blood in him, he still doesn't like that, and only a tiny bit does he end up growing to respect him. So when they finally do end up finding the Comanches that have taken Debbie, turns out to be this man named Scar who kidnapped her. And after the 5 years, Debbie, who's now played by Natalie Wood, has been fully assimilated by the Comanches. And after some time, Ethan is mostly interested in destroying the Comanches than he is wanting to really rescue Lucy. He knows that after a while, Lucy is going to be assimilated, and frankly, some of Ethan's friends and Martin are afraid that Ethan's going to kill her. It's just crazy the way that Ethan is. He's like Captain Ahab from Moby Dick. And we get to know Scar a little bit, who's the head Comanche guy who kidnapped her, as I already said. And so we get to learn a little bit of why he killed the Edwards family. Frankly, they were there first. The Edwards family, the whites were the ones that had come to their land, kind of that were the ones that took their land, and the Civil War people have become enemies with with the Comanches and the Civil War, people had been kind of brutal to them first, and Scar had lost some of his family members, and yeah, it's basically Scar and Ethan are almost one and the same. So it's yeah, this gray area that's explored between them, but it's explored like not all whites are good, not all natives are bad. It is a very fascinating. We get to see like even though as first depicted it in the film, like earlier, that the Comanches are savages. That's really not how it ends up being at all. Even before we get to meet Scar and see that Debbie's been assimilated, we get to meet this other family of Comanches, and they're totally fine. They actually really like Ethan, and they really like Ethan and Martin, even though Ethan hates them. And it's a it's a really fascinating the way that this gray area is looked in between. But of course, the John Wayne, the way that his performances, the way that his character is really drawn out, is just fascinating. See, Ethan is a heavy racist, but what's really wild about him is he learned so much about the Comanche culture. Like he learned about some of their rituals and their beliefs and their language because he's so keen on destroying them. He wants to do like he tried to learn about their culture to be closer to destroying them. And it's just wild the way that everything turns out, and mega fascinating also. This is a terrific film, one to behold, and also the way that the movie looks is perfect. John Ford is he's one of the best in making beautiful looking films. Before things like Lawrence of Arabia and Bridge on the River Kwai, we had this. We had The Searchers to look at. Sweeping scope, and this deserves to be seen on the biggest screen possible with the biggest resolution. The look of this film, totally gorgeous. Yeah, it was beaten out by other films like Dances with Wolves and Lawrence of Arabia in terms of looks, but The Searchers did it all first. And when you first look at the film, the thing that immediately gets you first is the look of it. Even though the characters and the acting are the thing, like the essence of the film, can't ever forget the way that this movie looks. One of the best. So yeah, I'm going to give this movie a perfect 4-star score.